This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you our friends over at Dipstick Vapes, makers of the category-defining Dipper, the vaporizer that allows you to use it as either a traditional vape pen or as a heated ceramic tip that you can vape your favorite concentrates and extracts with, like some kind of techno cannabis hummingbird. It's a super cool device that's both stylish and hugely functional. To learn more about the Dipper and to save 15% off the price of buying one yourself, head over to dipstickvapes.com and use the discount code MJ today. That's dipstickvapes.com, discount code MJ today. And when you use that discount code, Dipstick Vapes will make a donation in the amount you saved to our friends over at Students for Sensible Drug Policy. Talk about win, win, win. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Friday, August 17th, 2018, and you're tuned in to episode 552 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. Leading off today's headlines is news out of Louisiana, where yesterday the Monroe News-Star reported that licensed medical marijuana cultivators could be putting seed to soil as early as today, as the state works to roll out its nascent medical marijuana program. Louisiana's medical cannabis program will be stocked with marijuana grown by one of just two licensed cultivators. One of those companies, GB Sciences, is expected to get the nod to start planting today, according to Michael Strain, Commissioner of the Louisiana Agricultural and Forestry Commission. Assuming a 3 to 4 month harvest time plus processing and testing, Louisiana patients could see product show up in dispensaries as early as late November, early December. A new Gallup poll finds that Americans between the ages of 18 and 29, aka millennials, are big fans of using cannabis, at least relative to their older demographic peers. The new poll found that 24% of respondents between 18 and 29 had used marijuana on either an occasional or regular basis. That compares to just 13% of those 30 to 40, 11% of folks 50 to 64, and just 6% of people ages 65 years and older. Click over for more on this one. One of the things that I see in those numbers is a lot of untapped market potential. Just 6% of people ages 65 years and older have used marijuana recently. That's almost criminal given how helpful medical cannabis can be for people of advanced age, or people of any age. A good one to open up and read. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com and on our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily. We wrap up today's top stories out in Utah, where a lawsuit has been filed by a prohibitionist who is claiming his religious rights would be trampled upon if Utah voters are allowed to cast a vote on legalizing medical marijuana in November. Prohibitionist Walter J. Plum is a real estate developer, landlord, and devout Mormon who says that his religious sensibilities would be offended if he were forced to have to rent a property to someone using medical cannabis. The lawsuit is the second that's been filed in the state against Proposition 2, which would allow patients with a limited number of qualifying conditions to use medical cannabis, including people living with AIDS, epilepsy, PTSD, and those who are allergic or otherwise unable to use opioids. The special kind of person who sues to prevent people with those conditions from finding medical relief. Walter J. Plum. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out in headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, dipstickvapes.com, makers of the innovative Dipper vaporizer. If you have a store or dispensary, you need to be carrying the Dipper on your shelves. Here's why. The Dipper sets itself apart from all of its competition thanks to the hugely useful multiple functions it's capable of performing. It's an easy sell to your customers because it's super easy to understand as a buyer why the Dipper is such a great purchase. Of course, you're going to spend your money on a vaporizer that lets you do more than just pack and go. If you could benefit from the bottom line boosting sales of the Dipper, swing on over to dipstickvapes.com and get in touch about becoming a reseller. And don't forget, if you want to buy a Dipper for yourself, use the discount code MJToday at dipstickvapes.com to save 15% off the already affordable price and to generate a donation in that same amount to our friends over at Students for Sensible Drug Policy. All right, time for the Blitz. Cleveland.com has a good story up about the issue of so-called immaculate cannabis conception in Ohio, where one of the state's licensed medical marijuana cultivators planted seeds just a couple of weeks ago, but from where they're not saying exactly. That's because it would be illegal to bring in seeds from out of state or otherwise possess them ahead of when they're planted under the new legal scheme. This is something that's occurred in every single state that's legalized marijuana, and one that I think is interesting enough to take a note of. Ohio officials are just looking the other way on this one and have given no guidance to licensed cultivators as to where they should procure seeds. Other states like Washington and Colorado have done the same, while Nevada required cultivators to get their clone stock from patient cultivators. Tom Angel, writing over at Forbes, picked up on some interesting news from a soon-to-be-published federal registry filing about the Drug Enforcement Administration and their official hopes and dreams for 2019. According to the crafty Mr. Angel, the DEA is increasing the amount of cannabis that can be grown under federal approval for medical research from around 1,000 pounds to 5,400. The DEA also wants to see a reduction in the amount of opioid painkillers that are prescribed and produced, according to a recently released press release. Open up Tom's piece for more on this one. Chris Roberts over at Marijuana Moment has a great story up looking at the conflation of marijuana and synthetic marijuana, which generally consists of some kind of plant matter that's been sprayed with chemical compounds that purport to mimic the effects of cannabis. Synthetic marijuana isn't really regulated in any meaningful way, so it can be a gamble as to the effects one gets from using it. At the very bad end of the spectrum, people can die and be seriously injured from using synthetic cannabis. Chris's story looks at the habit among police officers to call synthetic marijuana, which it most certainly isn't. This is another one I'd open up today for the full dive in. Another Marijuana Moments headline, we have Kyle Yeager, who picked up on a newly introduced bill in the U.S. House that would seal criminal records for anyone convicted of low-level, non-violent marijuana crimes 1 year after they serve out their sentence. The Clean Slate Act was introduced by Democratic Representative Lisa Blunt of Delaware and has already attracted 20 co-sponsors. Kyle's got a lot of good background on this one, as well as a link to the bill itself, so you might as well give this one a read while you're over at Marijuana Moment. The Colorado Department of Agriculture just updated its list of pesticides that can be used on legally grown cannabis with the addition of 2 new insecticides. You can pop over to Cannabis Business Times to check out the new additions and for a link to the full list. In the wake of the recently announced injection of $3.8 billion of investment into Canadian marijuana company Canopy growth by alcohol giant Constellation Brands, which you might know best for its Corona beer, a lot of people are interested to hear what Canopy growth will do with their new large Warchest. Marijuana Business Daily is a good write-up of a recent conference presentation given by Canopy Growth CEO Bruce Linton that's worth the click over and read. And finally for today, even as legal adult use marijuana has pretty firmly entrenched itself as a normal part of states like Colorado's social and business worlds, to say nothing of the general acceptance of medical cannabis, the NFL continues to live in a prohibitionist bubble. The Chicago Sun-Times is reporting that the coach of the Chicago Bears recently warned players ahead of a trip to Denver to avoid using marijuana if they want to stay on the right side of NFL rules, banning its use. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again on Monday morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Where do cool mice live? In mouse pads. Thanks to our sponsor, Dipstick Vapes, and to our awesome patron listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Cool Mouse. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in, starting your day with marijuana today.
One take, Shay. One take.